Hey happy people. So today we're going to be making some mushroom broth. I do have like a video already for the mushroom powder, but if you want a more rich savory, if you bought the mushroom powder on MrStayHappy.com, you can easily turn that into a mushroom broth. But if you want a more savory, something you can keep in your refrigerator to use in your recipes, then we are going to make a mushroom broth today. And this is usually the one I've been using in my recipes, and I've been getting messages of how I make my mushroom broth, so I'm going to show you today. Alright, so my pan is already heating here. Pot. I have 1 tablespoon of grapeseed oil. Turn that up so that way if we go ahead and heat up. One in there so we'll know when we're ready. How about y'all just watch the intro right quick and I'll come back when it's ready. Okay, our pot is ready here. So we have 1 whole onion here that we have just chopped up roughly. I'll let them cook down there for just a minute. Alright, so our onions have sweated down a little bit here. They're nice and fragrant. We don't want to caramelize them. We just want to sweat them a little bit. So now we're going to add our bell pepper here, and I have 2 bell peppers. These are green bell peppers, as you can see. And going to do the same thing. Just let them sweat down just a little bit there. Alright, so now our bell peppers have started to sweat there, so now we're going to add our sliced mushroom. This is fresh mushroom. This is the white button mushroom. This is 1 cup. It has stems and all, so we use all of it. Alright, so now I'm going to let this cook down for about 5 minutes to give the mushrooms time to sweat it out. I'll be back in 5. Back in 5. Alright, so our mushrooms have been cooking here for about 5 minutes. They have worked it out. They're sweating pretty good. So now we're going to add some seasoning to that. I have here, this is just a little twig of fresh thyme. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About 7 little sprigs all together on one thing. We're going to throw that in there. Add our seasonings, and at this moment, let me just run the list of ingredients with the measurements right there. But we have some not so garlic powder, sea salt, a little anise seed, and some ground bay leaf. If you do not have ground bay leaf or ground anise seed, star seed, then you can use 1 whole anise star. You can use 1 whole bay leaf, yeah, bay leaf. Let that stir it in there. Now we're going to add, this is 1/4 cup of the Alkaline no soy sauce. And even though I have a full tablespoon, I don't think I'm going to use a full tablespoon, but this is tamarind. I said it right, tamarind. Probably about 1/4 of a tablespoon of the tamarind paste, concentrate. Get that, stir it all in there together. Now, I have here, these are dried well, they were dried mushrooms, they're not dry anymore. This is 1 whole cup. I did a 1/3 cup of dried porcini, 1/3 cup of dried baby bellas, and a 1/3 cup of the dried portobello. I just steeped them in 1½ cup of hot water for about 30 minutes while I was prepping everything for this video. So, we're going to use all of the water and the mushrooms to pour in there. Now, I'm going to use about 5 cups of spring water here. 4 cups here. And the last cup here. I might use just a little bit more of the tamarind. Let's just say 1/2 of a tablespoon. Right now, I am going to let this come to a boil, and after it comes to a boil, I'm going to lower the heat to like a medium-low, and I'm going to let it cook and simmer down. Let it simmer and condense down a little bit for about an hour, and then I'll be back. Alright, so I am back. It has been an hour. My broth has been simmering here. So now we're just going to remove all of the vegetables out of here so we can funnel the rest into our container here. So, well, let me show y'all what it looks like before I spoon it out. But, see that? Well, there's a lot of veggies in there. Now, you can take your spoon, kind of push down so you can get most of the juice out of there. Alright, so now, spoon out all the vegetables and mushrooms there. At this point, you can taste it, see if you want to add any more seasonings or herbs to it for your liking, until your soul say yes. But now we're just going to funnel this into a clean, I guess I need to bring this back, into a clean jar here. And that is enough for that jar. I'll get another one off camera and do that. But there we go. Our mushroom broth. You can let this simmer even longer if you want a darker, more richer mushroom broth. You can add more mushrooms. More of the dried mushrooms would be your best because that gives you the best umami flavor. But this is pretty good. You can even, I have done this before, literally cooked it and left it sitting with all of the vegetables and the mushrooms in the jar. Like they would literally sit at the bottom and I would just pour off the top. So I continue to flavor it. For all of your leftover vegetables and mushrooms, you can put this in the freezer, freeze it. When you're making veggie broth or another mushroom broth, you could easily take this out and use it with that. I would suggest adding more fresh mushrooms and more fresh product with this, but it will definitely help with giving you flavor, and you won't need to use so much at a time of your fresh products. You can dehydrate this, dry it out, turn it into a seasoning, add some more dried herbs, a little more sea salt, turn it into a mushroom seasoning. You can literally take this and turn it in, and put it in with your stir fry, anything like that. So don't throw that away because you can actually still use that. That is it for me today. I have made my mushroom broth. Now you guys know when I use the mushroom broth in the recipes, now you know which one it is. This is usually used my substitute for beef broth because it just has a much more umami flavor, this one, instead of using chicken broth, vegetable broth, or I was about to say a knockoff, a version of vegan broth, a vegan chicken broth or anything like that. You can make your own mushroom broth, and that way you can substitute for beef broth. All of that just to say that. Okay, so that is it. I put this in the refrigerator. I usually don't have this in there for more than a week. I make just enough to have usually say about a jar and a little bit left. So that way I can usually during the week for whatever I need to. But if I have a recipe coming up, that's usually when I make it. When I know I have a recipe that I'm going to use the broth in. So that is it for me, y'all. Until the next video, stay happy.
Uh-huh.